Hey, what's going on YouTube? So here's another video on creating a good number for the Green Bay Packers. Just real quick, I want to hit on a couple key notes of the last video with the Arizona Cardinals. I did have the negative 2.5. Also, overs. I do like the Arizona Cardinals at over 44.5. Going into the season, again, all these numbers are raw until we actually see the strength of schedule and see who they're playing against. So teams over 500, I definitely give them 6.5. Again, I'm still working on these numbers. And then division rivals, they get a 8. And then just a heads up on losses. They also have they're 5-1. So they have 5 losses at home and 1 away. So that's definitely something to take into consideration if you're looking for losses for the Arizona Cardinals going to the next year. And because most of their team is together and they really don't have that many changes or variables in their team, I expect that trend to continue. So I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals to win mostly on the road than at home. So going into the Green Bay Packers game, again, just want to hit on these notes. These are the divisions I feel are the toughest divisions as far as quarterback and defense, as far as offense and defense, as far as teams facing each other. I did change this last video, and I'm sure if you looked at that, I'm sure you would agree that I probably did this third or fourth. I don't know. I can't remember, but I do have the East fourth because, again, you have that quarterback going into his second year. The Bills is pretty good. Patriots look pretty good. Miami Dolphins do look really good. And, you got the Jets who is weak. And then, I just changed them around. So that's all I did. Everything's still the same until we get some further information on what's actually happening in the league going forward. So here it is, the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. I'm just going to say this. The Green Bay Packers are 13-4 last season, and this season they're not going to come anywhere near 13-4. They're probably going to be like 9-8 or 9 and whatever the number is. But they're definitely going to have, I think they can pull out 9 wins without even looking at the schedule. And all the green you see here, actually, these are division rivals that I got highlighted in this tannish color. The green color is the Davante Adams touchdown. Now, why I wanted to do this video was to show you that the Green Bay Packers will be struggling when the season starts without that number 1 wide receiver, Davante Adams. Davante Adams had 1,500 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns. Now, Aaron Rodgers had 37 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Now, I don't think, but Aaron Rodgers, as far as the 37, that number's going to go down. So those 11 touchdowns from Davante Adams with the 37 touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers, that number is probably going to be more around, I want to say 29, 28. Now, this is speculating because I feel as though since they did trade the number 1 wide receiver, it is extremely hard to find another number 1 wide receiver unless you trade for one or you get one. And prime example of this was the Minnesota Vikings the year prior. They had Stephon Diggs. And you seen what happened to that team when they traded their number 1 wide receiver. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a lot better than Cousins, but that number 1 wide receiver does make a difference because it draws double team and it draws other wide receivers to be open, and that's going to be a significant difference when it comes to the offense. But their team, going back to the Minnesota Vikings, they were 10-6, and when they traded them, that next season they were 7-9. 7-9. The Green Bay Packers do have some good alternatives. They do have a top 5 defense going into the season, as long as they don't make too many changes. They're going to have their cornerback Alexander. He's a monster. He's a shutdown corner in itself. They got a two-headed monster in Dillon and Jones. As far as the running game is concerned, I believe they combined for 1,500 yards rushing, and they had 9 touchdowns rushing together with a combined of 8 receiving touchdowns together. So I'm thinking they're going to be more of a run heavy defensive kind of team, with Aaron Rodgers just being a game manager, throwing to wide receivers as they open. I have no doubt. I have no doubt in Aaron Rodgers' skill. I have doubt in his receiving talent. I don't think these guys could get open. The wide receiver they do have that's coming into a 4th year that's worth mentioning is Lazard. And I mean, the guy's slow. He's tall, that's a plus, but he runs like a 4.5. So he's going to be drawing double teams. They're going to cover him. And I think if you got a good enough corner, you pretty much can stick with him all game for the most part. It's just who's going to be open. Then you have Randall Cobb on the other side. Randall Cobb, he's getting up there in age, and none of these wide receivers had 1,000 yards receiving yet, or over double digits in touchdowns. So it's going to be a huge concern as far as receiving the ball. Not so much as Aaron Rodgers throwing them the football. Aaron Rodgers is going to get the job done. They're going to get the ball there, but if they can get open, that's going to be the question. So looking for the Green Bay Packers to take a significant change next year to the downside. And with all that said, looking at the numbers, I doubt that any of these numbers are going to be what they are today. Like, say, for instance, this is a loss without Davante Adams. That's a loss without Davante Adams. They only win by 7. They only win by, I think Davante Adams had 2 touchdowns in that game. They only win by 1 in that game. That's a loss, and that's a loss. And this Minnesota Vikings, that game is a lot closer than what's indicated. And then this average 10, this will easily be, I want to say, you might want to even go into positives with that one. Instead of a 10, you might want to look at a good 3 for a +3 for the Green Bay Packers, unless something significant happens. So I'm going to go with a +3 for the season for the Packers. If you have anybody that's going against the Packers and they're getting +7, definitely jump on that. Again, I think the Packers are going to struggle in the beginning of the season. And as we can see with the other video, we see a pattern. This is division rivals that they lost to. You have the Detroit Lions. That was actually the last game of the season, the very last game of the season. So teams that are doing real good starting off, they start weakening up in the last game of the season, especially if they really don't have anything to play for and they're already in the playoffs. Why even, play hard? Then this is the first game of the season with the Saints, where they got blown out. And then from that point on, they just went on this, I'm going to destroy your team streak here. It's crazy. So last game, first game, and in the middle, team over 500, Kansas City Chiefs. That was a tough matchup. So them losing that game, not surprised. And this is a division rival. Obviously, them losing against a division rival is not surprising. So again, for all that said, the Green Bay Packers, I have to get them at a +3 at the moment, maybe even more points depending on their schedule. And if they're facing teams over 500, like for instance, you got the San Francisco 49ers, they barely escaped that game. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They beat the Steelers pretty good, but I doubt that number is going to be a -10 this season. It's definitely going to be closer than that if they face the Steelers again. Cincinnati Bengals, they were over 500. They beat them by 3. Definitely, that's going to be a change. Teams over 500, Arizona Cardinals, again, I think the Cardinals will win if they face them again. Seattle Seahawks are terrible. They're still going to be terrible this season. The LA Rams, Los Angeles Rams, they're going to win this game. They're going to win that game. The Ravens, obviously the Ravens going to win that game. And the Browns, I have the Browns. If they have anybody over 500, I'm gearing more towards the other team rather than Green Bay. And that's just my opinion to win. So with that being said, the totals, again, without those touchdowns from Devontae Adams and not having a clear number one wide receiver, we can't go with these totals at all. We have to come up with a different number. So that's going to change significantly. And we're better off going with a team that's with another team total. So whoever they face, we're better off going with their totals than this one because we have that variable in that number one wide receiver. But that's all I have today for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, it's just a +3 for Green Bay. They're going to probably be the underdog of most of the games that's coming up this next season. And we have a total. We definitely like the under with the 48 if you're going to do a total. But then again, if they're facing a team that's really high-powered in offense, one of these teams, as far as Kansas City Chiefs, Las Vegas Raiders, any one of these games, I'm definitely looking over the total, and I'm looking at over the total in any one of these games where they're facing another team. But then again, we have to figure out how their defense is going to perform because they really have good defenses as well and good offenses. So we're going to have to check it out. Right now it's plus. Yeah, I have to give them a +3. So that's where I'm at with the Green Bay Packers for the moment until we get more information. The probability of them hitting on +3 may be a little overzealous at the moment, but we have to definitely take Green Bay Packers, and we have to put them in a category of, hey, we have to be careful with this team. So appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you are here for the next video. Like, subscribe, share, and next team I will be talking about, I probably go with more teams that doesn't have huge variations in this offseason. And what I mean by variations is like huge trades. So teams that's pretty much together that hasn't had a significant trade in their offense. As far as Buffalo's pretty much the same. New England, they just got Parker from Miami, so they are pretty much the same. That's a huge difference, and I think that's to the plus side. Yeah, so we're going to get into it. So next game I'm probably going to talk about is the LA Rams. Just going down the list here, and we're going to talk about this NFC West division here. All right, appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, share, and most importantly, bet wisely.